The sound of rain on steel has a rhythm that digs into your bones when you're dying. Each drop hitting the ground around me felt like a ticking clock, counting down the moments until my heart stopped. 8 blades had torn through my chest like molten glass. Every stab was a lesson in pain. Every breath, a war I was losing. I collapsed on the cold pavement of Sector 19's back alley. Above me, the megacity stretched like an endless cage of light and glass. Drone traffic painted the night with streaks of neon blue. Steam hissed from cracked vents, rising like ghosts from the underbelly of the district. The world blurred at its edges. She stood over me, tiny, fragile, alien. Yavina's hair floated as if caught in an invisible current, white, almost translucent, with strands that shimmered silver when the rain touched them. Her emerald skin glowed faintly under the flickering alley lamps, laced with violet veins that pulsed in sync with her heartbeat. She couldn't have been more than 6 years old, at least if she were human. Her eyes, silver, wide, too calm, locked on mine. No tears, no screams, just the storm's reflection swirling inside them. "Please," she whispered, voice as soft as cracked glass. "Be my dad." That was the moment everything inside me broke. The pain, the fear, the rage, it all became something else. I tried to speak, but blood filled my mouth, warm and metallic. The world tilted, my vision narrowed to a thread of light. And then, darkness. But it wasn't empty. It felt alive, watching, breathing. I gasped awake, not in the alley, in my apartment. The cracked window spilled neon light across the floor, where puddles of rainwater glistened like broken stars. My chest heaved. I clawed at my shirt. No blood, no wounds, smooth skin, perfectly unmarked. The blades had vanished like a bad dream, but the ache was real. The rain outside hadn't stopped. The night was still here. I heard it before I saw it. A distant whir, heavy boots on the hallway floor. Then, boom! My door exploded inward. Shards of steel skittered across the floor. Smoke rolled in like fog. 12 figures emerged through the frame, silent, synchronized, like a single machine wearing 12 bodies. Their armor was blacker than the night outside, plated with obsidian surfaces that reflected streaks of red emergency light. Plasma cores in their chests pulsed faint blue. Helmets shaped like tapered blades turned toward me in unison. Celestine Dominion soldiers, elite, unstoppable, unforgiving. "Elias Koren," a distorted voice echoed from the front soldier's helmet. "By Celestine Accord, surrender the child." I froze. Yavina was crouched behind the bed frame, her small hands gripping the torn edge of my jacket. Her breathing was too fast, like a trapped bird. Her silver eyes flickered with streaks of green. Something about the air around her vibrated, like reality itself was shifting to her pulse. "I don't even know what she is," I whispered. The lead soldier tilted his head, just slightly, but the movement radiated threat. "Then you'll die ignorant." I could hear the power cells charging, the low, terrifying hum of plasma rifles preparing to fire. 12 barrels, all aimed at me and a child I barely knew. The apartment's lights began to flicker. Yavina's eyes widened, not with fear but focus. Her voice slipped through the chaos, a whisper like wind slicing through silk. "Close your eyes, Elias." I didn't. I couldn't. The world detonated. A pulse of raw, alien energy exploded out from her. It wasn't heat. It wasn't light. It was something deeper, like the fabric of the room twisted inward. The floor cracked, windows shattered outward, and the soldiers staggered back, their armor flaring as if reality itself had slapped them. The emergency lights went black. Only her glow remained. I turned toward her, shielding my face from the swirling debris. Her veins were glowing like comet trails now, wrapping around her arms, down her legs. Her hair rose higher, as if gravity had given up. My heart pounded. I didn't know what she was, but I knew one thing. She was dangerous, and if they wanted her this badly, she was worth more than I could imagine. The soldiers regained balance. The lead hunter lifted his rifle. Yavina looked at me, not as a stranger, not as a soldier, as if she already knew me, and for some reason I stepped between her and them. No logic, just something raw pulling me forward. "Stand down," the soldier barked. I didn't. He fired, or tried to. The moment the trigger clicked, a second pulse erupted. Brighter, sharper. It tore through the walls like a thunderclap. Every window on the floor shattered. Sirens howled across the district. The very ground beneath us cracked like glass under a hammer. My body lifted off the floor as the energy storm swallowed everything. Soldiers crashed into walls. Ceiling tiles burst like paper. The air itself turned liquid. I screamed, but no sound came out. Just light, blinding, cold, merciless light. And then we fell. As the building split beneath us, a giant alien glyph burned itself into the floor, a symbol I had never seen before, but one that made the Dominion soldiers freeze in terror. The soft hum of the med chamber faded into silence. I forced my eyes open, blinking against the sterile glow of the recovery bay. The ceiling was a smooth sheet of silver, shifting with holographic patterns that mirrored my heartbeat. My ribs ached where the blades had sunk in. 8 precise wounds that should have ended me. But I was still here, breathing, alive. Yavina sat in the corner of the chamber, knees tucked under her chin, bioluminescent veins faintly glowing in the dim. Her silver hair floated weightlessly, even without wind. I remembered the way her tiny hands had clutched my sleeve when the syndicate assassins came, and how she whispered the words that tore through my chest more deeply than any blade. "Please be my dad." "Elias," she murmured now, her voice trembling like glass. "They followed us." My pulse spiked. "Who?" Before she could answer, the lights in the med chamber flickered. One by one, every holoscreen dissolved into static. A siren, a deep, vibrating wail, rolled through the walls. They were here. I swung my legs off the bed, ignoring the burn of healing flesh. My gear lay stacked against the wall. Exo-armor chest plate, neural gloves, pulse blade. It wasn't much, but it was better than nothing. As I snapped the chest plate into place, the room's reinforced door split down the middle with a sound like tearing metal. Smoke hissed from the seams. They entered in formation, 6 figures in black chrome combat suits, their helmets shaped like predatory insects. Their movements were synchronized, predatory. At their center stood a taller figure, her armor marked with a crimson insignia. "Elias Varen," her voice echoed through the helmet modulator, cool and sharp. "By order of the Celestial Vanguard, you're under protective custody." Protective custody? That didn't sound like rescue. That sounded like prison with better lighting. "Not interested," I muttered, raising my pulse blade. The commander tilted her head. "Then I'll make it easy." 2 soldiers raised shock lances. Blue arcs cracked through the air. I ducked, felt the charge skim my shoulder, smelled burnt fabric. Yavina screamed behind me. The taller soldier stepped closer. For the first time, she removed her helmet. Her face was a storm, angular, flawless, glowing veins streaking across her temple. Her eyes weren't human. "I am Commander Sarath," she said, "and that child you almost died for is not what she seems." The world narrowed around her words. "She's just a kid." "No," Sarath replied softly. "She's a key. And the syndicate isn't the only one hunting her." Yavina clutched my arm, her small fingers digging into my skin as if anchoring herself to me. Her trembling whispered more than her voice ever could. I could hear the distant thrum of dropships outside the station. Heavy, military. If Sarath wasn't lying, this wasn't a simple escape anymore. This was war building at my doorstep. My vision flickered, not from pain, but from my neural implant sinking to the base grid. A flood of encrypted signals hit me like a tidal wave. There were dozens, no, hundreds of armed units closing in. "Elias," Sarath said, "come with us willingly, or you both die tonight." I looked at Yavina. Her glowing eyes pleaded for something I couldn't name. I'd already bled for her once. "Then we run," I whispered. I grabbed her hand and hurled a shock disc at the floor. A flash of white light ripped through the room. Alarms screamed as the soldiers staggered. But as we dashed into the cold night of the colony docks, I caught one last glimpse of Sarah through the smoke. She wasn't chasing. She was smiling. A chill raced down my spine. Why was she smiling? Then I saw it. On the hull of the nearest dropship, carved in burning red letters, was a message only I could read through my implant. Welcome back, traitor. Elias realizes someone from his past is orchestrating this ambush, and the soldiers may not be the enemy he thinks they are. The freezing night air bit into my skin as Yavina and I sprinted across the metallic causeway. Below us, the city spread like a broken constellation, fractured domes, holographic billboards, and the crimson flash of military sirens piercing the smog. My boots clanged against the steel, echoing in the vast dark. Yavina's small fingers clenched mine, glowing faintly, like a fragile beacon in a collapsing world. Behind us, the docking station burned. I could still hear the distant thump of heavy boots, Sarath's soldiers fanning out, but I couldn't shake the image of her smile. It wasn't a predator's grin. It was recognition. She knew me. Welcome back, traitor. Those words weren't just a threat. They were a mirror I didn't want to look into. I activated my neural HUD with a twitch of thought, a semi-transparent map projected into my vision, a grid of the colony's understructure. There was one escape path left, Sector 9's maintenance tunnels, unregistered, untraceable, dangerous as hell. Elias, Yavina whispered, breathless. Why did she call you that? I didn't answer. I couldn't. The memories clawing at the edge of my mind weren't the kind I could explain to a child. Not now. Maybe not ever. I pulled her closer and ducked behind a stack of fusion canisters. Two drones zipped overhead, their red scanners sweeping the platform like blood searching for a wound. One beam brushed over my boot. I didn't breathe. Then, silence. The drones passed. Stay close, I murmured. We ran again, down a spiral stair, past blinking reactor vents, into the wet gut of the colony. The deeper we went, the colder it got. Metallic frost clung to the walls. The air smelled of oil and old war. Sector 9 wasn't just abandoned. It was erased. I tapped into an encrypted channel buried deep in my implant. The connection was faint, dusty, like opening a door I'd welded shut years ago. Elias Varen, a distorted voice crackled through. We warned you never to come back. My lungs froze. That voice, it didn't belong to Sarath. It belonged to someone I once trusted more than anyone, Kalen Vorn. Kalen was supposed to be dead. Kalen, I rasped, I need an extraction. And a clean jump ship. I've got a kid with me. A pause, then a dry, humorless laugh. Of course you do. You always bring chaos in your arms. Before I could respond, a soft click echoed through the tunnel. Snipers. Above. I shoved Yavina to the ground as 3 plasma shots sliced through the air, searing the wall where my head had been. Sparks showered over us. Down, I yelled. Figures emerged from the shadows. Sleek, silent, dressed in fractured armor marked with a black spiral. The Syndicate enforcers. Their leader, a towering figure with silver tattoos crawling up his neck, lowered his hood. Hand over the girl, he said, his voice like a blade sliding across bone. And maybe we let your ghost walk a little longer. Not happening, he smirked, then bleed like last time. Yavina's glow intensified, flooding the tunnel with ghostly light. The enforcers faltered for half a second, just long enough for me to hurl a pulse mine at their feet. Boom! The explosion ripped through the corridor. Metal shrieked. 2 enforcers were thrown back, their armor peeling like foil. I scooped Yavina up and bolted through the debris. Elias! Kalen's voice thundered through my implant. You just declared war. I didn't start it, I growled, but I'll finish it. We burst out onto an elevated tram platform. The night sky above was jagged with moving warships, shadows cutting through the clouds. A massive dreadnought hovered over the city like a silent god. Painted on its underbelly was a symbol I hadn't seen in a decade. A black sun wrapped in chains. My symbol. The one I created when I was still part of the Vanguard. Before the betrayal. Before I vanished. Yavina tugged at my sleeve, her eyes wide with fear and something else. Recognition. Elias, she whispered, they're here for you, not just me. The sound of approaching warships roared overhead, drowning out her voice. And then, through the mist and light, A holographic broadcast appeared above the city. Elias Varen, war criminal, fugitive, return or burn. The world tilted. The past I'd buried wasn't chasing me anymore. It had caught me. Elias realizes he's not just protecting Yavina. He's the target of a galactic manhunt tied to his own dark past. The Vanguard is back, and they want him alive. The tram rails trembled beneath my boots as the night sky filled with the hum of war. Dreadnoughts hovered over the city like vultures waiting for a corpse to stop twitching. Explosions flashed at the edge of the colony's skyline, painting the horizon in red. Yavina's grip on my arm was so tight it hurt. She didn't look like a child anymore. Not in this light. Her glowing eyes reflected the fires above, turning her into something ancient and terrifyingly beautiful. Every loudspeaker in the city screamed the same message in metallic unity. Elias Varen, return to Vanguard custody, surrender the entity. Resistance equals erasure. Erasure. That wasn't an empty threat. The Vanguard didn't capture rebels. They rewrote them. I scanned the tram platform. The last transport had already fled. A hollow wind carried the echo of its departure. Above, Syndicate gunships swarmed like black insects. Below, Vanguard assault carriers locked down the streets. We were surrounded. Not a fight. A trap. Elias! Yavina's small voice cut through the chaos. Why are they calling you that? I crouched down to meet her gaze. Because once, I was one of them. She blinked, confused. But there wasn't time for explanations. My implant flickered to life. Kalen's voice bled through the static. You've got less than 10 minutes before they close Sector 9 entirely. You either disappear now, or you get rewritten. Then guide me, I hissed. I shouldn't, Kalen replied. But damn it, Elias, I owe you once. A new route pulsed across my HUD, a thin blue line cutting through the city's underbelly. The catacomb lift, a forgotten shaft that led straight beneath the colony's core. I grabbed Yavina's hand and ran. Alarms wailed above us. Syndicate snipers opened fire. Blue plasma bolts screamed through the night. We dove through a broken barrier, sparks slicing the air around us. My exo-armor absorbed most of the impact, but the heat still burned. Behind us, the tram station collapsed under a Vanguard drop pod. The shockwave hurled us forward. My vision blurred for a second. When it cleared, Sarath was standing there. She emerged through the smoke in her crimson-marked armor, her soldiers forming a perfect circle around us. The black insignia on her chest pulsed like a heartbeat. Stop running, she said. Her voice wasn't angry. It was cold, almost regretful. It's over, Elias. I raised my pulse blade. Not yet. Sarath tilted her head. Do you think they want her? She nodded at Yavina. They want you. You're the last Vanguard ghost. You're the key to the Gate Protocol. The words punched the air out of my lungs. The Gate Protocol, a classified operation I thought had died with me 10 years ago. You're lying, I spat. Her eyes softened. I wish I was. The soldiers moved in. I knew I couldn't win against 6 elites, but running again meant leaving the girl, and I'd already chosen once. Yavina stepped forward. Her small hands glowed brighter than before, heat radiating off her skin. Don't touch him, she said. For a heartbeat, everything stopped. Then the platform shook. A blinding surge of energy burst from her chest. Pure white, spiraling outward like a star being born. The soldiers were flung back like leaves in a storm. The tram rails bent. Holograms shattered. When the light faded, Sarath was on one knee, her helmet cracked. And for the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. Yavina stumbled into my arms, unconscious but alive. Her pulse burned against my wrist like fire. Elias! Kalen's voice thundered through my implant. That energy spike just lit up every sensor on the planet. You need to move. Now I stared at Sarath. She wasn't chasing. She was watching. You don't even understand what she is, Sarath whispered. When they find you, not even I can save you. I turned and leapt into the catacomb lift entrance, the metallic shaft swallowing us whole. The elevator groaned as ancient gears spun for the first time in decades. As we descended into the dark, the sky above split open with Vanguard warships descending in formation. And far below, something else answered their arrival. a low, thunderous growl rising from the depths of the planet. Something older than the Vanguard. Elias escapes the trap, but Yavina's hidden power has awakened something buried beneath the colony. The war above is just the beginning. The real threat is below. The catacomb lift groaned like some ancient beast as it descended into darkness. Every creak vibrated through the steel platform under my boots. Yavina lay limp in my arms, her small body still glowing faintly, like a dying star clinging to its last breath. Above us, distant explosions rolled through the ceiling like thunder. The Vanguard and the Syndicate were tearing the city apart. But down here was silence, the kind that feels alive. When the elevator finally shuddered to a stop, the doors slid open into a cavernous world that no map had ever dared to record. The underground stretched like the ribcage of some long-dead god, towering arches of fossilized bone wrapped in black vines, rivers of luminescent liquid running between jagged platforms. Holographic symbols floated midair, ancient and alien, pulsing with a heartbeat I could feel in my teeth. "This place," I whispered, "it's not human." I carried Yavina carefully down a broken stairwell, my neural HUD flickering from interference. The air was thick and warm, humming with invisible energy. She stirred in my arms, eyelids fluttering. "Elias," she whispered weakly. "We're home." My chest tightened. "Home?" Her eyes glowed brighter. "The core remembers me." Before I could ask, a low rumble vibrated through the cavern floor. Massive structures began to shift, ancient spires rotating into alignment, like gears in a forgotten machine. My implant buzzed violently. Kalen's voice bled through static. "Where the hell are you?" Every Vanguard scanner just went blind. "It's like you fell off the grid." "I'm under the colony," I answered. "And Kalen, there's something alive down here." A pause, then his voice turned sharp. "Elias, get out of there now. That place isn't a shelter. It's a tomb." Tomb. The word echoed through the cavern just as the walls around us shifted again. And then, lights. Thousands of them. Figures emerged from the dark, slender, translucent beings made of shimmering blue light. Their faces were smooth, eyeless, their movements both graceful and predatory. They surrounded us in a perfect circle. I tightened my grip on Yavina. "Not today." But Yavina lifted her hand weakly, and the creatures froze. One by one, they knelt before her, bowing their radiant heads. "What the hell?" I breathed. A voice, soft but thunderous, filled the cavern, though no mouth spoke it. "The air returns." I turned slowly. A massive crystalline structure pulsed at the heart of the cavern, and inside it floated a throne of black glass. A figure sat upon it, wrapped in living armor, his face hidden by a mirrored mask. I didn't need to see his eyes. I knew him. Kalen Vorn. Except this wasn't the Kalen I remembered. His voice flowed directly into my mind. "Welcome back, old friend." My heart slammed against my ribs. "Kalen, what the hell did you do?" He rose from the throne with the ease of a god who'd been waiting centuries. "I didn't do this. You did. When you abandoned the Vanguard, when you vanished with the gate's key, he pointed at Yavina. "You left the core in my hands. I just learned how to use it." "You betrayed everything we built," I hissed. He laughed, a sound like glass cracking. "No, Elias." I perfected it. The glowing creatures around us suddenly straightened, their bow turning into a formation. They weren't worshippers. They were soldiers. His soldiers. "Come with me," Kalen said. "Bring her. Together we can control the gate, rewrite every star, erase the Syndicate, break the Vanguard, become gods." My hands clenched. "And if I refuse?" He tilted his head, and the ground beneath me split open like a wound. "Then you'll die in the dark, and the child will open the gate for me anyway." Yavina stirred, clutching my chest. "Elias, don't let him." Her voice was weak, but it burned like fire. I raised my blade. The cavern pulsed like a living heart. Kalen didn't even flinch. "This isn't a war anymore, Elias. It's your sin catching up to you." The glowing soldiers began to move. The crystal throne cracked open, and far above, the sound of Vanguard warships roared through the earth, colliding with syndicate fire in a storm that rattled the world. I realized then that this wasn't just about protecting a child. This was about choosing who would control the future. Kalen is revealed as the hidden force beneath the colony, commanding an ancient alien army tied to Yavina's origin. Elias must choose between joining him or igniting a war that could rewrite reality itself. The cavern throbbed like a living heart, its light pulsing through the ancient walls. Kalen stood atop the black glass dais, his mirrored mask gleaming beneath the alien glow. The crystalline spires around us began to tremble in unison, resonating with Yavina's breath. The child in my arms wasn't just a child. She was the trigger. Kalen's voice slid into my mind like smoke. You can end this, Elias. All of it. One command from her, and every warship above us turns to ash. Every syndicate fighter, every vanguard dreadnought, gone. Peace through control. Peace through slaughter, I spat. His smile curved beneath the mask. It's still peace. Around us, the luminous soldiers of the Corps shifted formation, their movements precise, disciplined, terrifying. They were preparing for war, but not against us, against the world above. Yavina stirred in my arms, her glow flickering like an unstable star. I don't want to hurt anyone, she whispered. I knelt, pressing my forehead to hers. Then don't. We're not their weapon, Yavina. We fight for ourselves. Kalen's voice rose, no longer a whisper but a storm. You're still clinging to human sentiment. Do you even remember what they did to us? What the Vanguard erased? The memories surged through me like knives. The betrayal, the experiments, the day I walked away and left him behind. Don't twist this, Kalen, I growled. You made your choice. I made mine. Suddenly, the cavern floor cracked as a deafening impact shook the core. Dust fell from the ceiling. My HUD lit up with alerts, multiple heat signatures inbound. Sarath had found us. The catacomb lift exploded inward. Her unit descended in a storm of silver armor and plasma fire, landing on the lower platforms like falling meteors. The Vanguard had breached the core. Kalen didn't move. They've arrived, he said calmly. Good. I'll let them die first. I raised my blade. Not if I stop you. The glowing soldiers surged forward like a tidal wave of light, colliding with the Vanguard in a flash of chaos. Plasma bolts ripped through the air. Alien energy slammed into steel shields. The entire chamber erupted into war. I ran, not away, from him. Kalen raised his hand. A barrier of obsidian energy rose in front of me, slicing through the floor like a blade. We end this together, he said, stepping closer, or we end nothing at all. I hurled my pulse grenade, leapt through the smoke, and met him blade to blade. The clash sent a shockwave through the chamber. His strength wasn't human anymore. It was fused with the core. Every strike was a hammer, every breath a quake. He grabbed my throat, lifted me off the ground. You were always the weaker one, Elias. I choked out. Then why did they follow me, not you? His grip faltered. For a fraction of a second, I saw Kalen, the friend, not the monster. Then his fury returned. Yavina screamed. A shockwave burst from her tiny body, cracking the crystalline ceiling above us. Warships roared somewhere high in the storming skies. And then, an even deeper sound. A roar. Ancient. Massive. The floor split open, and beneath the crystal throne, something began to move. The true core wasn't a machine. It was alive. A colossal shape emerged, a fusion of metal, bone, and starlight. A serpent-like titan coiled beneath the earth, its body carved with runes older than the colony itself. Its eyes burned white-hot. Kalen spread his arms, drunk on power. The gatekeeper has awoken. Sarath's voice echoed through the comms. Elias, whatever you're doing, stop it now. If that thing reaches the surface, it's over for everyone. I looked at Kalen. I looked at Yavina. And I knew. This war wasn't just about choosing a side. It was about deciding whether the galaxy would survive at all. I tightened my grip on my blade, standing between Kalen and the rising god beneath the earth. Then I'll end it here. Kalen lowered his mask, eyes blazing with madness. Then you'll die trying. The Titan let out another earth-splitting roar, and the cavern erupted in blinding light. The ancient gatekeeper awakens. Kalen unleashes its fury, and Elias stands as the last barrier between the surface and a galactic extinction event. The war is no longer between factions, it's against something far older. The sky above was painted with streaks of green and gold as the alien fleet broke through the clouds. I stood at the center of the shattered bridge, my chest still burning from the fight. Behind me, the child with glowing blue eyes whispered something I couldn't understand, and then the ground itself started to tremble. Elite soldiers surrounded the base, their boots pounding like war drums. General Zyron's voice echoed through every corner of the ruined city. "Human, this ends now." But this time I wasn't running. I wasn't bleeding for nothing. I clenched the shard embedded in my hand, the same alien core that had brought this war to Earth. One spark, one pulse, and it could either save us or wipe everything out. Leora appeared beside me, armor cracked, but her silver eyes fierce. "If you ignite it," she said softly, "you won't survive." "I know," I whispered, "but he will." The child stepped forward, raising his hands. A brilliant surge of blue light burst outward, colliding with the incoming alien army like a tidal wave. Ships spun out of control, beams of energy shattered in the air. The soldiers screamed as their helmets cracked under the pressure of the pulse. I took my final breath and slammed the core into the ground. The world exploded. Flashes of memory cut through the darkness. My home, my sister's laugh, the child's terrified eyes, Leora's hand clutching mine. Then, silence. When I opened my eyes, there was no sky, no bridge, no army, just a glowing chamber suspended in nothingness. And standing in front of me was the child, older, stronger, wearing the crown of an empire. "You gave your life to save me," he said, voice deeper now. "No," I replied with a faint smile. "I gave it to save us." Behind him, an entire alien council bowed their heads. Earth and the alien realm were now bound by one act of sacrifice. But as he turned away, one phrase sent chills crawling down my spine. War was only the beginning. The lights dimmed, the chamber cracked open, and a new darkness began to stir. The real enemy has not yet appeared. The sacrifice created peace, but also awakened something far worse.